The diner sat at the edge of a quiet highway, its neon sign flickering like a heartbeat in the night. Inside, the smell of coffee and bacon hung in the air, mixing with the low hum of an old jukebox playing a song nobody really listened to anymore. At one of the corner booths, an elderly waitress named Martha wiped the same table for the third time, her tired hands trembling slightly as she worked. She had been on her feet since dawn, and her back ached from decades of bending, serving, and smiling for people who barely looked her in the eye. Her name tag was faded, her apron old and patched, but her spirit was gentle and kind. She didn't know that tonight would test her soul in a way she had never imagined. It started when a shiny black car rolled into the parking lot, the bass of loud music shaking the windows. Out stepped a group of rich teens, their clothes expensive, their laughter careless, the kind of laughter that made quiet people like Martha feel small. They swaggered into the diner as if they owned it, tossing their car keys on the counter and shouting for service. Martha turned with her usual soft smile, asking what she could get for them, her voice shaking just a little. The leader of the group, a tall boy with perfect hair and a phone always in his hand, looked her up and down like she was something stuck to his shoe. Then, without warning, he spat in her direction, the glob hitting the counter just inches from her hand. The diner went silent. The sound of the jukebox stopped, forks froze halfway to mouths, and for a moment, time stood still. Martha stared at the spit, then at the boy, her heart sinking to a place where words no longer existed. She didn't shout or cry or scold him. She simply nodded, turned away, and went back to the kitchen. Her dignity remained intact, but her spirit cracked in a place no one could see. If you believe kindness is stronger than cruelty and that respect can still change the world, please like, comment, and subscribe. Right now. Stories like this deserve to be heard. Stories that remind us what it means to be human. In a corner booth near the window, 3 bikers had been watching everything. They weren't the kind you see in movies. Not outlaws or troublemakers, but men who carried the weight of hard lives on their shoulders. Their leather jackets were worn, their hands scarred, and their eyes sharp with the kind of wisdom you only earn by surviving too much. They saw the spit, they saw the humiliation, and something inside them burned. The leader, a man named Cole, looked at the others and didn't need to say a word. They had all seen enough. When the teens finished eating, they laughed loudly again, tossing crumbs and leaving a mess behind. They threw a couple of dollar bills on the table, a cruel joke of a tip, and started walking toward the door. That's when Cole stood up. His boots hit the floor like thunder, echoing through the diner. The teens froze. They hadn't noticed the bikers before, but now they did. 3 tall men with faces that carried stories of pain, redemption, and justice. Cole stepped forward, his voice low but steady, and said something that made the entire room go still. The exact words didn't matter. What mattered was the look on his face, the kind of look that told every person watching that decency still had defenders. Outside, the night was heavy with the scent of rain. The bikers followed the teens into the parking lot, where arrogance met consequence under the dim glow of the diner's sign. One of the boys tried to laugh it off, pretending he wasn't scared, but his hands shook. Cole walked up to him, close enough to see the boy's reflection in his sunglasses. There was no violence, no shouting, just silence, the kind of silence that made people confront themselves. Cole told him to look at the diner window. Inside, Martha was still cleaning the counter where he had spit, her small frame hunched, her hands trembling. Cole asked him if that looked like power, if humiliating an old woman made him feel big. The boy didn't answer. His eyes dropped to the ground, his throat tight. Then something unexpected happened. The boy's friends started to back away, uncomfortable, ashamed. They realized they weren't part of something cool anymore. They were witnesses to their own cowardice. One of them whispered an apology, another looked away entirely, and the leader, the one who had spat, suddenly felt the weight of his choices crushing down on him. He stammered, tried to explain it was just a joke, but the words felt hollow. Cole didn't say much else. He just told him that real strength never needs to humiliate anyone. Then he turned and walked back inside. Martha looked up when the doorbell jingled again. The bikers sat down quietly, and Cole placed $100 bill on the counter. He didn't look at her pityingly, just respectfully. Martha's eyes watered as she tried to thank him, but her voice broke before she could finish. Cole nodded once and said she didn't owe anyone anything. They finished their coffee and left soon after, their engines roaring into the distance, fading into the night like silent guardians. An hour later, when the diner was empty, the door opened again. It was the boy. His expensive jacket was soaked with rain, and his hands were shaking. He approached Martha slowly, his voice trembling as he apologized. He told her he didn't know why he did it, that he thought it would make his friends laugh. But seeing her face, seeing the bikers stand up for her, it made him feel small in a way that scared him. He placed his phone on the counter, showing her a video he had deleted, the moment he spat, captured by one of his friends. He said he was sorry and asked if she could forgive him. Martha looked at him for a long time, her old eyes tired but not bitter. She nodded softly and said that forgiveness isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about choosing not to carry the poison any longer. The boy's tears mixed with the rain on his cheeks as he thanked her and walked out into the night. That moment would stay with him forever, shaping the man he would one day become. Weeks passed. Life went on at the diner, the days blending into one another. But Martha noticed something changing. Every few days, someone new would stop by. Strangers leaving generous tips, people offering kind words, a few even saying they had heard about her online. The story had spread, someone had told it, and it had touched hearts across towns and cities. Martha didn't seek fame or sympathy, but the kindness of strangers began to heal something inside her that cruelty had once broken. Months later, one quiet morning, the same boy returned, this time alone, wearing a simple shirt and jeans. He told Martha he had left his old crowd, started volunteering at a community center, and wanted to make something of his life. He said her forgiveness had changed him more than punishment ever could. Martha smiled and told him that every day is a chance to start again, and that kindness, when given freely, never returns empty. The boy left with a cup of coffee and a small smile. As he walked away, he looked back once, watching Martha move between tables with the same gentle grace as before. She looked older, yes, but stronger too, a quiet reminder that sometimes the smallest acts of dignity can awaken the best parts of humanity in others. And in the corner of the diner, taped near the cash register, was a photo of 3 bikers. No names, no captions. Just 3 men who reminded the world that kindness can wear leather, and respect doesn't depend on wealth or power. It depends on heart. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let's keep kindness alive in a world that too often forgets what it looks like. And before you go, tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you had been sitting in that diner that night?